Alright guys, well it's been a minute since we've talked about Helldivers 2 on the channel. This game has had an impressive amount of controversy going back the last 3 months or so, which is surprising because the game tends to trend towards one of the top played games typically on Steam, across PlayStation and all that. It's a very well liked game. A lot of, I haven't checked the player base recently. I would imagine it's still in the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, depending on when people are all online. It's a very, very popular game, Helldivers 2. And of course, it has had its own share of controversy. If we go back to April 5th, this article from that Park Place talking about how the community manager declared that the game was pretty woke and revealed that they were banning individuals that she deemed to be bigots, transphobes, homophobes, racists, you name it, all the usual suspects. Of course, at the time, I believe Katherine Baskin, that she had one of the Palestinian flags in her bio or the pride flag. It was some cringe thing where it's like, look, you can have your own feeling about conflicts or agendas or ideologies, and that's fine. But when you start putting flags, it's kind of like pronouns in the bio. It's just a very weird look. So, of course, this was one of those things where she came out saying things like, I don't like the terms casual and hardcore because they come with the implication that skill equals passion. These are words that gamers cling to, but they're being rendered meaningless as games become more accessible, inclusive, and experimental. This is the person that was running the account for Helldivers 2, the social media account. So, pretty cringe. Pretty obvious that this is somebody who has her own political bent and is definitely not somebody who's going to be friendly to gamers. Then, of course, we had back in May where Sony decided they were going to create mandate that all Steam players playing Helldivers 2 had to create a PlayStation account to link to their Steam account. Well, unfortunately, the majority of gamers said, no, we're not doing it. They said, absolutely not. I'm not creating one more account. I'm not creating one more way for some overlord to censor me and ban me from the platform. I'm done. I'm not going to do it. And so, of course, they downvoted the game on Steam. Massive review bomb that actually worked, and it caused the people at Sony and at Arrowhead to come together and say, look, we can't do this. It's going to destroy the game. People are just going to, revolt, basically. Unfortunately, as of today, there are still 177 regions where this game is still currently unplayable that I'm aware of. It could be less than that at this point now. But what happened was, despite the fact that they decided not to make the PlayStation account required for Steam players, they disabled the game in countries and regions where PlayStation accounts were not available. So, still a massive amount of people unable to play this game anymore. And of course, people have pointed this out as recently as yesterday, where this article from Fandom Wire came out saying that most of us already forgot about the PlayStation Network controversy, but the Helldivers 2 community remember an unfulfilled promise from Johan Pilestedt, talking about the ability to get everybody to, get back to playing the game. And this is pretty sad, that unfortunately, there's just a lot of empty promises, that there was supposed to be this review bomb cape. There were supposed to be a lot of things that were, promised to these players that just haven't been followed through on. So now we have, more recently, Helldivers 2 moderator banning users for vomit reactions to the LGBTQ Furry Art. This was a thing a couple weeks ago, where in the Discord server for Helldivers, this moderator, basically reiterated to everybody that gender identity is not politics, it's literally somebody's identity. Here in the Helldivers 2 server, we have a zero tolerance policy on any sort of bigotry or hate. The topic of gender identity, especially this month, because it's, remember, the magic month for these people, is not one that's allowed. What isn't allowed is all the negativity towards people trying to celebrate who they are. Essentially what happened was somebody put some furry art in the fan art section of the Discord server for Helldivers 2, and people said, what the hell is this? Like, this is disgusting. I'm sorry. I know that there's some maybe semi-normal furries out there in the community, maybe. None that I've ever interacted with, especially on Twitter. They all seem to be pretty unhinged. But people said, what the hell is this? It was something that was pretty well mocked on this Discord server. Well, now today we have an alleged community manager handbook that has been leaked online that essentially is telling the moderators to ban players that are opposed to identity politics being injected into the video game. And this is from John Trent over at that Park Place. And originally this story was shared on X by Grums, and we'll get into the tweet in a minute. But the article here says an alleged community manager handbook for Helldivers 2 instructs the game's moderators to ban players who are opposed to identity politics being injected into video games. The former World of Warcraft team lead, Mark Kern, shared screenshots of the alleged handbook to X. He wrote, "The Helldivers 2 Discord is not the politics-neutral space you think it is." Now, this is not a shock. We've already discussed this before, that a lot of people, especially the ones going, "Didn't you know this game was making fun of fascists, you chud?" You know, the game was never intended to be 100% politically neutral. It was very much in the same tone as the Starship Troopers movie, where it was intentionally trying to portray the good guys as the authoritarian fascist regime that thinks they're the good guys, even though they're really the bad guys. So, you know, the game is tongue-in-cheek, obviously. The thing is, it was never supposed to be real-world modern politics. Again, the thing that The Boys is doing where Homelander is essentially Trump, and you got that new Firecracker character where she's like, it's very cringe. When you start injecting modern, current-day political issues into anything else, it's just cringe. So Grums went on to say, "The mods think you are a bigot and should be banned on site for saying you don't want identity politics in the game." He added, "This unconfirmed Helldivers 2 Community Manager Handbook seems overall well-written, sensible, but there are two interesting things about it. The first is the example given. Any talk about not wanting identity politics in games is an insta-ban. No warning necessary. They consider it hate speech and a violation of their first rule. Helldiver mods feel that the phrase identity politics is code for any minority, and by saying you don't want identity politics, you are saying you are a racist bigot and actually don't want POC in games. This is a massive false assumption that fundamentally misunderstands the issue." And so we've got a screenshot right here, and we can actually go to his tweet and blow this up a little bit bigger. And this is in the handbook, in the supposed handbook here. It says, "A new user declares that identity politics have no place in video games, either Helldivers 2 or some other franchise. Outcome, immediate ban. This is a direct violation of rule number 1 in our server. Identity politics is code for marginalized groups like POC and transgender people." So this is where we're at, essentially. You can see here in the server rules, Helldivers Code of Honor, protect the liberty, democracy, freedom, and liberty are the ideals that every citizen of Super Earth embodies. Citizens and Helldivers alike never engage in hate speech based on, but not limited to, race, gender, creed, orientation, disability, or nationality. Ironic that they have the word democracy because the joke of the game is that you're spreading managed democracy. So is the Discord server admitting that they're fascists and not actually democratic? I don't know. So yeah, you have this post here again from somebody in the Discord server saying, "First of all, gender identity isn't politics. Someone's identity is not a political matter. Second of all, since y'all can't behave, we can't talk about stuff like that in here. Thirdly, this chat isn't the place to discuss gender identity or the LGBTQIA community. However, if you see someone discussing it and decide to shit on it instead of just reporting it to moderation, you will be banned for bigotry. We are now going to respectfully move the conversation along, and anyone who wants to keep clown reacting or argue can get a 24-hour timeout. Thank you." Basically, the mods over at Helldivers for their Discord server are just power hungry. They're just unhinged. To be honest, from what I've seen, they just seem to be, okay, well, hey, we have a popular game and I'm in a position where I can just give people strikes and timeouts and bans and whatnot. And it just goes to their head. They're that kind of person that the minute, and you can interact with these people anywhere in like a grocery store or at a shopping mall or whatever, that person gets that like manager position or they get that, you know, supervisor position. And all of a sudden, it doesn't matter if it's like a meaningless title. They just let that power go to their head and they just completely go on this massive power trip and become insufferable. So I'm gonna leave it right there. Let me know what you guys think about all this. I know that there's still a large fan base playing Helldivers 2, but unfortunately I think the numbers are starting to slow down, and it could be overall due to a lot of this crap that we've seen transpire. And unfortunately, I don't know how this bodes for the longevity of the game. It could honestly, it just seems like it could eventually cause the player base to decline. But you let me know what you think about it, and I will catch you guys on the next one. All right, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have 2 channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.